Hey, I'm back. Ulti here. Wanted to give some more feedback for the two previous playtests. I did make a video for the previous playtest, but I'm just gonna kind of lump together playtest 4 and 5. I don't consider them too different, so I think this works out just fine. Same disclaimers. Here you go. Gonna put them on the screen. With one little caveat to those disclaimers, I have been playing a little bit more of the other previous FPSZ. I've been playing some Mid-Air 2. I've been playing a little bit more Vengeance. Still haven't played any multiplayer, but gotten a little bit more familiar with the physics and even speedran a few levels, which was pretty fun. I also played some Tribes Ascend, which gave me a lot of perspective on this game. We're gonna get to that later. This video is going to be divided into two parts, one on playtest 4 and one on playtest 5. I'm glad that the XD spin fusers are gone now. It makes the loadout a lot more clean and simple to look at. It'll probably be less confusing for the newer players as well. And like I mentioned in my previous video, giving us the ability to just select our own inheritance, not only is that going to make some people more comfortable, but maybe there's a lot of veterans out there who really want it to be a very specific inheritance because that's what they're used to from their specific game that they played, right? I think it's a pretty good change. I'm unsure how much the selectable inheritance will matter for new players. I imagine a grand majority of them will keep it on 100 forward and 0 lateral, but I guess that's okay. I also appreciate that zoom isn't so cinematic anymore, especially after playing around with some of the levels in Vengeance in the single player campaign, and just having instant zoom and going back to Tribes 3 with its it took way too long to zoom. Way better now. I like it. I like the scoreboard updates. I think especially like the undocumented name change from, oh, your midfield and your defender and your offense, right? Like Tribes isn't like that. I'm glad they finally recognized that and made that a little bit more clear in the HUD that, just because you're one class doesn't mean you have to be bound to specifically this role. That's good. Though what I don't like is that they're putting the perks into the scoreboard. That kind of implies they're doubling down on perks as classes, which I still don't like. I'm gonna get to that later. The movement changes absolutely improve things. Feels like transferring speed is a little bit better now. I especially appreciate having more jets. That was sorely needed. I still kind of want more jets, but I think I can live with what we have now. It's not terrible. I still wish we had a little bit more higher gravity as well, but I can live with what we have now. It's all right. The thing that's kind of weird about the movement changes, though, is that it didn't feel like it really changed movement on light at all. Just kind of felt identical. Even after the 5th playtest, felt identical. It did feel a lot better on medium and heavy, though, especially heavy. It feels like heavy offense is way more viable now, especially like even potentially heavy capping. It's not terrible now, like actually kind of viable. I still don't like that there's speed caps. I feel like there should be kind of more of a bottom-up solution to whatever it is that they're trying to solve with speed caps. I don't know if that's maps. I don't know if that's weapons, but yeah, I don't know. Speed caps just feels kind of bad. I wish they were just removed. 7v7 is good. I'm really glad the main game mode is 7v7 now. 5v5 was way too small. You could just get away with so much stupid shit. You can't really do that as much now anymore. I don't know if that's also like people being more coordinated now, but yeah, no, I think 7v7 is a good balance considering everything else that they have currently designed in the game. I don't know how that will evolve as they add more things, if they want to add more things in kind of the groundwork level of this game, but we'll see. Something else that I think is really good about 7v7 being the main game mode is that they decided to now homogenize the map pool among all the game modes. At least the game modes that we have so far, right? I think there's still room for way bigger maps, like we have in previous games, but that's another discussion. I think not having the maps be divided definitely helps avoid fragmentation in the player base. I think it would be a good thing to not have players see that big, casual, I don't want to go into competitive, right? And then if they were to try competitive, oh, they're suddenly on a completely new map and they haven't seen it before and they have no experience and oh god, what do I do? How do I play on this map? It just avoids so many problems. We don't want to have fragmentation in this game. Having competitive is good, having casual is good. Maybe casual or competitive doesn't necessarily need to be one or the other team size, but regardless, the closer you make whatever you consider competitive and whatever you consider casual to be, better for the health of the game, 100%. Custom matches are pretty cool. I wish they allowed you to rematch without having to remake an entire new lobby. I don't know if they fixed that in the 5th playtest, because I didn't do any custom games in the 5th playtest, but yeah. I was going to complain here that, oh, you can't rejoin, but they did fix that later in the 5th playtest, so not really a problem anymore. There's still some problems with that, crashes are still a problem, but regardless, it's getting better. I also appreciate that they decided to put a little bit more detail into the actual environment of the maps. Not necessarily like, oh, here's some random props here and there, which they did do, yes, but especially like if you look at how they reworked Katabatic, I really like Katabatic as it is now. It feels like there's a lot more going on there. It's definitely like the least flat map in the game, and I wish the others were like it. All the others are just like you can very much tell that there's a base level and then everything else is just kind of raised from that. Katabatic isn't really like that. It feels a lot more organic, and I like that. I wish the other maps were more like Katabatic. Drylock is definitely better now. It feels actually possible to reach the flag stand, which is good, because, you know, that's kind of the whole point of the game at the end of the day. I think one of the biggest problems with the previous version of Drylock is that it exposed how bad the amount of jets were, and I'm starting to wonder, even if we had the previous version and we have the amount of jets that we have now, would that still be evident? I don't know. Regardless, I prefer the version we have now. It's definitely better. 4th playtest definitely improved performance. It's very noticeable, not just in the numbers you're seeing on the top there, but also it just felt way better. There was a very clear difference. That said, I still don't think it's enough. Like I said in the previous video, I'm basically exactly at the recommended specs. And even when I'm not recording, this is the numbers with recording, like I'm still not really able to match the refresh rate of my monitor. Like I don't think that's viable for a esports game if that's what they're aiming to do, right? Anyways, unfortunately, it's pretty clear where a lot of that optimization came from. There's a lot of aggressive pop-in now. Things popping in the distance, things popping in front of you, grass rendering itself in front of you. It doesn't look good. I care more about the frames than anything, but I've seen games that look better than this game does and don't have these kinds of issues, right? Tribes is a little bit more strained in the sense that it's far faster than any of those games, but I'm sure there's still a lot of things that can be done. I'm glad the shock lance exists now, but it feels pretty useless, which is probably why they took it out in the 5th playtest, especially since it's in the secondary slot. You're fighting against chain guns and other very, very competent secondaries, especially after all the buffs from weapon speeds. It's a really, really, really tough sell to give that up just to have a melee weapon that uses energy instead of being flat damage. I don't really get why that is. I did want to try using it first. I equipped it basically immediately, and then realized that I got in very few situations where it was actually useful, and I really wished I had a chain gun instead, and then never bothered using it. Either they have to really, really buff it and make it worth being a secondary weapon, or just make it a base kit thing. I don't know why it is that there's no base melee. It was in Ascend, it was in Vengeance, I don't know if it was in T1, T2, but anyways, like, there was a lot of situations in the 5th playtest where I got into melee situations and I had less health than the guy that was right in my face. So what am I going to do? Shoot them with my spin fuser and take a 12-second respawn? Or switch to my secondary and hope that they miss a really easy shot? Those are both bad options. and I really wish I could just melee them there. And whether or not that gave me space or something, just having the ability to do something without taking a 12-second respawn just because of muscle memory would be really nice. On the subject of base kit, why was the third slot removed entirely? I know that there was a lot of feedback about people saying that they didn't want a quote-unquote shitty third weapon, but even so, what was the point of taking it away entirely? Even if you didn't buff those weapons, even if you didn't buff the pistol, you didn't buff the shotgun, you didn't add any more options to that third slot, I liked the shotgun anyways. It was fairly consistent for finishing people off. It swapped quickly, it shot instantly. I liked it. I don't know what the point of taking away that option is. If anything, at least all the other weapons in the 4th playtest got a lot more interesting. I don't need to say this. Everybody that was playing it was pretty obvious. The weapons were rebuffed, very clearly. The projectile speeds were too fast, very, very clearly. Hitboxes were not okay. There were a lot of shots that I got where it just didn't even look like it hit them at all. And then it gives me a blue plate special, and I'm like, I don't deserve that. That doesn't feel right. That doesn't look correct.
Play with your friends, but like you could feel comfortable picking up even when it's not a sale because like it's $20.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want this to be like a mid-air 2 situation where it's really, really difficult to kill someone. I think just that alone makes mid-air 2 very, very difficult to approach. Like, splash damage in that game is non-existent, and hitboxes are very, very tight. But, you know, it doesn't need to be in one extreme or the other. There's a good middle ground to have here. I think that there needs to be a skill floor that's reasonable enough without really capping the skill ceiling, because what happened in the 4th playtest was both a lowering of the skill floor and a lowering of the skill ceiling, which is not good. It also made offense feel very, very difficult, especially if you're a light. You're going to get one shot immediately. The amount of air shots that I saw people being hit with when they were trying to approach the base, just boom, hit once, boom, hit twice, just immediately dead. I never saw that in any of the previous playtests. And I know it's not because there was some kind of radical increase in skill. It was just the weapons. Far, far too much. At least that got dialed back in the 5th playtest, but more on that later. This may have been entirely removed by the 5th playtest, but I still feel like this deserves being mentioned. Controller auto-aim was a very, very interesting find that we all had at the very tail end of the 4th playtest. If you haven't seen this, I'm just going to let it play out. The video will speak for itself.
No, I'll get quiet. How much ammo does that give me back? All of it? Perfect. The fucking snap of my sense increases when I fucking kill the player, dude. Okay, nice. Big 3k.
Anyways, overall the 4th playtest was kind of weird, but I still think it was a step in the right direction, if you kind of consider everything. And I'm happy that they were willing to try something kind of wild. Like, it upset the meta of the game very, very drastically, right? And I wish they did that with more of the game. Like, I especially wish they did that with the maps. I want to see bigger maps. I want to see maps that are designed entirely differently. I want to see more game modes, right? That'd be cool. I want to see more things that radically change the game as we know it now. Because as it is now, it feels like it's the kind of game that's going to get solved pretty quickly, because we don't have too much, and the baseline is limited in a lot of ways. You look at flag drag, you look at speed caps, that kind of thing. Give us the opportunity to do more things. I think that'd be awesome. Okay, moving on to the 5th playtest now. I think the Thumper is really cool, actually. Good addition. The animations are really cool, but the fire sound feels kind of empty. Maybe replace that. Conduits are pretty cool. I definitely think they're better than a teleporter. They feel far less janky than that. And there's also this weird bug where if you slide into it with the right timing, you get a speed boost off of it, like a horizontal speed boost. And it's actually pretty useful. I don't know if that's intentional, but I hope that that gets kept and maybe refined to feel like a little bit less buggy. That'd be pretty cool. I'm very glad that you can reconnect now, as I previously mentioned. It's a little buggy. I had a problem where the flag icons got swapped to like the wrong team, essentially, after I reconnected to a normal game. But that said, still, step in the right direction. Still work to be done. That's okay. Controller aimbot is gone. Good. Please don't let it happen again. Like, I don't know if it was an accident or something, but the circumstances are very weird. Erez specifically said that there was no aim assist on controller implemented. And then later on in the patch notes, they just say outright, disabled aim assist on gamepad. So what's going on here? I don't know. It makes me think that it was implemented accidentally somehow, which is a bit scary, but I'm glad we're in an alpha period right now, and we have time to figure out these things. The Nova Cult getting moved to medium class and then being made more damaging, I think is a pretty interesting idea, and it definitely felt better. It always felt like it wasn't worth using the Nova Cult on life class because it just did no damage and it wasn't consistent enough. Meanwhile, with the medium one, with the 200 damage they gave it now, even if you don't hit all of your shots, you still get a good amount of damage out of it. I think it's good rework. Training mode. Good. Okay, we should have something like this. Some kind of shooting range, and they're very much aiming to have some kind of tutorial as indicated by the current state of training mode. They also said very clearly, hey, this is not the actual tutorial. We're going to work on this some more. But even so, even what we have right now still needs a lot of work just as a training mode. I don't get why there's no unlimited ammo. That just seems obvious. Add unlimited ammo, please. Also, give us the ability to change classes without having to respawn and then having to ski all the way back to the targets. That would be good. I like the flag timer being reduced to 30 seconds if it's been dropped. Apparently this was more of a problem in like higher level, but even so there were a lot more situations, even in my games, where flag gets dropped, it's in a position that's hard for us to try and re-grab it, and they decide to keep it in that position because that's an actual strat. It's very useful. But they don't get to keep it there for 2 minutes anymore. That's good. I appreciate that the pack cooldowns on the light class got buffed a lot. That's really good. Like, especially the buff on the thrust pack. Really, really appreciate it. Like, if you're gonna go in this direction of making light very squishy and not being able to do damage, and essentially just existing for the speed that you can get on light, at least give them more utility. I think that's a good direction to go, but I think light still has fundamental issues, and I wish they were just a little bit more survivable, and I wish they were able to do just a little bit more damage. The new visual effects are actually kind of cool, especially the like the camera angle shifting one. Reminds me a lot of the camera tilt from like Quake 1, which I really like a lot. I don't know, personally that feels really good, but I'm also glad you can disable them. It's good you have the option to disable those, because I know there's a lot of people who are not going to like those. I did like the FOV changing effect for a good while, and then I really paid attention to it for a second, and realized I hated it immediately, and I was very glad I could turn it off. I've got mixed feelings on the repair gun being base kit now. It's nice to have, but is it really all that useful? Like, I'll admit I didn't try repairing any teammates. I didn't see how good that was. I don't imagine it's super good, honestly, but I didn't try. The generator is still not really impactful, honestly. Like, there's basically nothing it's attached to. But at least the turrets are better now. There was definitely times where I was very stationary and too close to the enemy base, where I got killed in this patch by turrets, and that wouldn't have happened in any of the previous patches. That's good. But the generator still needs more things attached to it, in my opinion, for it to deserve existing. Maybe try adding the healing station back. That'd be pretty cool. maybe try... I've heard of... I think this is a pretty cool idea. Forward spawn. That'd be pretty fun. Just add things to it, make it feel impactful. Because right now, it's too easy to kill. It feels bad to repair it because it just feels very clunky to use the repair gun in general with having to hold 2 buttons. And it doesn't feel impactful to do it in the first place anyways. So yeah, just add more things to it, make it more high stakes, high reward. I want to feel like it deserves to be in the game. VGS being in the game is good, but right now it's very weird and buggy. At least the devs recognize so in the patch notes, but what exists now doesn't really give me too much confidence, all things considered. Apparently the key combinations are different from the previous games. I wouldn't know that. I'd never got used to the millions of key combos that exist in the previous Tribes games because I don't really have an experience. But even so, as somebody that doesn't have that experience, what exists now is very, very clunky and feels very unintuitive. I don't like that it takes up the entire screen. I don't like that the V key is right next to the B key, so sometimes I recall accidentally trying to press the V key in a quick situation where I really want to communicate to my teammate fast. It just felt very clunky, and as soon as I tried to use it for anything outside of just pressing VGS, I just used mic input. It was so much easier. Why take the risk of trying to learn this VGS system that's probably going to get a big rework anyways, when right now it's just extremely clunky and doesn't feel good to use? Let me just tell my teammate, okay, hey, please grab this flag from me. That's way faster than me trying to find the hidden key combo on this janky system as it is right now. Minor point, why does the phase rifle have hipfire spread? I think that's fine as a balance decision, but my problem with it is more that the crosshair doesn't represent that at all. I looked back at some footage that I did with the phase rifle this patch, and there was a lot of shots that looked like they should have hit, but then didn't because of the randomness. If you're going to do that, at least just have like a traditional, like, you know, COD style crosshair, where it's extended out, like it's an extended cross, that shows me the box of where it is that the shot could go. At least that immediately gives me the idea that there's going to be spread. On the subject of things that are kind of hidden, why was 12v12 removed? I'm certain that that's temporary, but that wasn't included in the patch notes, which is kind of a big deal. Like, there's a lot of players that are probably only playing 12v12 right now because they prefer it. Why not include that in the patch notes? Even if you have a good reason for removing it for this playtest. I don't know, that doesn't give me a good feeling. I don't understand why that wasn't communicated. I'm very, very glad that the weapon speeds got reined in this patch, and that the hitboxes got changed to be more accurate to the models. That's great. I still have a sinking feeling that shots are too easy. And I don't know if that's actually correct, or if that's just the scrub in me thinking the, oh, dude, game too easy, game for noobs, right? This is especially where my lack of experience comes in, because I don't really have a good feeling for how it was in the previous games. So, people that are more experienced than me are going to have to make that call. In my opinion, it still feels a little bit too easy. Especially as a capper, playing capper every once in a while, I would just get hit by some incredible shots from people playing defense, and it just felt terrible. It felt like it wasn't deserved. And again, I don't know if that's just me being a scrub, not being fast enough, or just not recognizing that was a good shot, or if the game's just not well balanced. So genuinely, I don't know how to make that call. I think it's pretty weird that they made the captures 1st to 3 now instead of 1st to 5. That's a very, very big difference. I had a few 6-minute games. I think I had like 1 5-minute game. And I don't know, that's weird, right? I do wonder if those same games that were stomps and ended in 5 to 6 minutes would have just been 8 to 10 minute games where it was a 5-0 anyways, right? Maybe it would have been, maybe it wouldn't. But taking away those opportunities just makes it feel like it ends too early. I don't know. Hopefully they play with that some more. I did really enjoy playing in the 5th playtest, but it made it obvious to me that there were some problems that really, really need to get fixed. And more than just the optimization that I harped on last video, and I want to make it clear, that's still a problem. we still need more. Please do more optimization. Anyways, there's a lot of things I'm just getting kind of tired of. I'm getting tired of pressing reload after every shot. I didn't talk about this last video, but for whatever reason in this game specifically, and this doesn't seem to be a thing in the previous Tribes games as far as I know, if you press reload immediately after firing, you get a faster reload. It starts quicker. And especially for weapons like the mortar, that is insanely impactful. It's just getting kind of annoying to do, but in my brain where I'm like, oh, I want to be optimal and I want to do things the right way, I've just made that a habit. And then playing other games made that so obvious that it was really, really annoying to do. Please just take that out. I don't understand why that's a thing. Also, please take out flag drag and maybe play around with taking out speed caps. You did a pretty radical change with the weapons. Why don't you make a radical change with the movement and just throw shit out the window, see what happens? That'd be fun. I don't like that we essentially have wall hacks with the HUD icons just telling us through hills, even if I can't see that person, oh, they're about to get over this hill. Shoot them immediately. I don't know, that's just kind of lame in my opinion. Maybe that's how it was in the previous Tribes games, but me. I'm also getting really tired of not having basically any air control at all in this game. It does exist, it's there, but it's so weak that sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's there. And I kind of realized during this 5th playtest it's because there's no directional jets. That doesn't exist. Jets only bring you up. That's all they do. And maybe that's supposed to be to make things more intuitive for new players. But you know what doesn't feel intuitive to me as a newer player in the genre? Holding W, pressing jet, and not going faster forward. That feels weird. It especially feels bad when I'm trying to hit a hill that I'm just barely going to miss, and I'm feathering my jets and holding W and praying that I hit it, but I don't. Because jets don't do anything. They just bring you higher a little bit. It fights gravity a bit. So essentially it's making you slower, and then you may hit the hill. I don't like that. They had the directional jets in a previous playtest. They actually allowed you to change it from, 0 to 45 degrees of lateral movement from jets? And I saw in the Discord, like, oh yeah, if you put it on 45, you can go super fast. And at the time, I didn't really understand why that was, but I put it on 45, and it felt pretty good. I liked it. I don't know why it is that's just 0% lateral movement from jets right now. That just feels bad. On the same subject, I don't get why it is that hills right now don't really influence your movement. I especially figured this out from playing a little bit of Midair 2, how it is that bowls and hills can make you actually change direction. And that feels really good. I really like that. Why does that just not exist in this game, basically? You can ski alongside steep hills and not go down them whatsoever. Skiing on hills does not bring you down, and it does not push you to the side at all. I don't really get why that is. It would be really cool if there was just a little bit more of that terrain variance that would not only, in my opinion, look better, but also give us more options for movement. I'm getting really annoyed of having to chase nuggets at this point. Like, there's times where I kill someone, and I have to chase the nugget for like 3 to 5 seconds. It's just annoying. Just make it fall down flat. Move like a tiny bit down the hill and then eventually just peter out. It doesn't need to go all the way down. It doesn't need to keep rolling. Just have it be a more or less stationary thing that's easy to pick up so I can take that and just keep on fighting. Please. And on a similar note, why is it that it's been since playtest 3 that we still have items falling through the map? Especially flags. That shouldn't be happening. It has been 3 playtests and this is still not fixed. Why? Are you fucking kidding me? It just went through... Getting back to what I mentioned earlier about having played some Tribes Ascend recently, it made me realize there's a lot of sounds in this game that are just straight up reused, and it just feels dissonant now. The sounds that, like, for the flag capture, for the flags getting returned, all that, in Ascend kind of made sense. It had a bit more of, like, a grungy, maybe metallic kind of aesthetic, more, like, more 40k, right? And in Tribes 3, it's a bit more, I guess, modern and futuristic feeling. I think that's fine, but hearing those sounds that were intended for essentially like a completely different aesthetic feels very jarring. And also just kind of the lack of announcer and the lack of sounds in general, the lack of music. Like, just polish that a bit more, please. Make the game feel more unique and less like it's just kind of an asset flip from Tribes Ascend. Something that I think the devs should really consider in terms of the game design of some of the HUD elements right now in the point system is that it encourages kind of selfish play that's more kill-centric rather than, you know, playing for the team, going for the objective. Midair 2 made that very, very clear to me. One of the things that I really liked about it immediately is that you get points for essentially doing everything. You almost killed somebody, you got like 95% of their health down and somebody else finished them, you get almost the entirety of points for killing somebody. Did you grab the flag and then pass it to somebody? You get half of the points as if you grabbed it and then captured it yourself. You get points for basically everything that you do, and it feels like you're getting compensated for it, right? That does seem like kind of... It's a visual thing, right? For competitive play, people are going to ignore that. But I think if you're thinking about newer players, you want to think about the psychological effect that telling them, oh, you got your 13th kill. Oh, you got a flag capture. It doesn't matter that somebody else passed it to you and got it to you at the very end of the flag stand. No, you got the flag capture, right? I think that's going to encourage selfish play, and I think the devs should look at that a little bit more carefully. But yeah, that basically rounds out all of my thoughts on the 5th playtest and kind of my thoughts on the game in general. I still firmly believe that things are heading in the right direction, but the more and more I experience this game and widen my perspective by seeing what else is out there, the more and more it becomes clear to me how much more this game has to go before it really becomes a finished product. And that's just a bit worrying, you know? I just want this game to succeed. Like I said in the last video, I'm going to keep on saying that, because I can't see that changing. I really, really like what exists so far. And I don't know, I'm kind of losing confidence slowly, as much as I hate to say that. I don't want to be cynical, and I don't want to put this game down unfairly, because it's an alpha, but like, yes, it really is an alpha, and the more and more we play it, the more and more that really shows. The problems are becoming very clear at this point. And I don't know, I'm getting a little tired of them, but I'm sure they're getting worked on. We're already seeing a lot of the concerns that we've had over the last few weeks getting worked on. We've seen improvements to movement, we've seen improvement to the balance, we've seen improvement to optimization. Things are getting better, slowly but surely. It's hard to not be impatient. It really is. And I think that comes across in a lot of the feedback that we're getting in the Discord especially. A lot of people that are very clearly fed up with the experience they've had so far. And they just want more. They want to see the best version of this game, whatever that is. And yeah, I wish it was happening faster too, but I mean, you can't push this stuff, right? We don't want this game to be rushed. That's the opposite of what we want. I still don't know what's going on with that supposed February 2024 release date. I would assume that's not happening at this point, because we're a month out and there's no like plans for beta or anything. I feel like at this point, if they were still aiming for that, we'd probably be in beta at this point. Hopefully they realize as much as we do that this game needs a lot of tender love and care, and I really hope that this game gets that. I do. Thank you very much for hearing me out. If any devs are listening, which I hope you are, I hope what I've given you is helpful and productive, and I wish you good luck on working in this game. I'm sure it hasn't been easy. and I'm sure a lot of the stuff that may seem obvious to us is very clear to you that it's not so obvious. So I just wish you good luck. Thank you for working on this game. And it's still damaged. What? Oh! Oh! Help! Help! Oh my gosh, help! No! Oh, that wasn't enough. Oh. Are you fucking kidding me?